If you're not out there with the customers initially, selling yourself as a founder, you're not gonna even understand the right product market fit. It's at Unusual Ventures, the number one thing that we talk about is how do you become more systematic about product market fit? Like product market fit is very similar. Most people think it's like a black art. How to get there is like just all intuition and just magically it happens. What we'd like to do at Unusual is to break it down into a bit of science. Yes, there is intuition and all that's needed, but it could be a lot of science behind it, right? And the science comes down to that, it starts with the founders out there, experimenting and validating their assumptions. But you cannot delegate it to someone. You cannot delegate it to a salesperson. That exercise you have to do it yourself as a founder, because it was your dream and idea and of what you wanted to, the problem you want to solve. So you have the most understanding of the problem and the domain. Now you gotta go and refine it and iterate and build the right understanding by talking to the customers. So what we teach there is at Unusual is you gotta be very structured around it. At least 40-50 conversations you need to have. And the questions you ask in those conversations, how you talk about it's really validating the problem. Is the problem real? And kind of getting to a few degree of nuances around the problem. Then is the solution, validating the solution, solution that you are bringing, is that the right solution? Is it going to work or not? And you still then you start peeling a few layers in there as well. And then validating the business value of it. So those are the three things that are important. And because it could be it's a good problem, it's a good solution, but people don't really care about it. They're not willing to pay any money for it. Then can you really build a business around it, right? So to me, it's and these things I learned the hard way at AppDynamics. When I was doing all this initially, AppDynamics was right in the financial crisis, the 2008 financial crisis. I started the company in 2008, a few months before the Lehman Brothers crash. So there was no more money for me to hire a salesperson. So I have to do everything myself because we just didn't have that much capital. Then I kind of found it that is the way, for us to build the best product, these are the three things we need to refine and iterate and validating the problem, validating the solution, validating the business value. And so now we teach that at Unusual, be very structured and scientific around it, and for founders to drive it. And you kind of learn from your conversations, you iterate, you pivot, and then you build the right product. If you can build the right product, then you can scale from there.
Yeah, your field guide is amazing. It's unrivaled. It's just one of those. I think you did it very early. Not many people were doing it. I think after Y Combinator, that quality of content in much more structured way I just found in Unusual Ventures. And what I loved it, you have a B2C approach, you have a B2B approach, and what I see in your first principles on customer obsession, you're trying to bring the B2C flair into B2B. So do you want to talk about that, what you think customer obsession looks like at Harness and Traceable, and how Jeff Bezos influenced you to adopt these principles?
If you look at almost any successful tech company or maybe probably any successful business, the most successful businesses have that one thing in common, that customers love the products. Or customers love the service or the value that the company is providing, the vendor is providing. And I strongly believe that there is no way to build a business until you solve that. And so how do you do that? Jeff Bezos and Amazon is a great example of just that, making that as the North Star, customer obsession. And yes, that was on the consumer side. But when we look at on the enterprise side, it's no different. It's an enterprise side. There also is, yes, there's an enterprise buying your product, but there's a human involved there. The person who's making the decision, or person who's making the case internally that we should buy this product. If we don't make them successful, most likely that person is losing out on their next promotion. Maybe they may even lose their job. So there's a personal impact. And I tell everyone we have to take that seriously. It's our responsibility. Some person make a bet on us, and they risk their career or their career growth by making a bet on us. So if we are not doing our best to make them successful, we are doing something wrong. And especially when you're early startup, that's 100 times higher risk that someone is taking. If someone is in a business, in an enterprise, they are your first customer number 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, the very early, they're taking very high risk. And if they fail in that, it's impacting their career. So like you just have to take it. So, I think once you make that as like, that it's important, like, because it's, it's almost your duty, your responsibility to make them successful, then you start obsessing about that. So, I've always liked to create that as a core of the culture. AppDynamics, Harness, Traceable, like, let's obsess with making our customer who made a bet on us to be successful. Of course, you want to be very measured and create a structure around it. And the way we look at the structure is going back to the business value, like, what they expected the business value of it would be, like, by buying Harness, we're gonna able to do XYZ better,
and
or
we make sure
that happened.